for me before, but when you talk about these things, it's like you coming to me talking about, going to the gym and what is the perfect exercise to do for you to get in a bodybuilding competition. And I, as your, coach, I'm more concerned about you just getting to the gym and just picking up a weight for the first time in several years. So I think for you, just getting on the phone, figuring it out, and also screwing up phone calls and appointments when it really doesn't matter as much because they are 5A and 4A is way more important than worrying about your perfect mix at this point in time.
Well, good. Thank you for that. That's helpful.
Well, this is Ron.
What I'll add to that, Tom. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, what I wanted to add is, no matter what you're doing, I agree with Chris. But to add to that, you're looking to practice one. And also, it doesn't matter. A family is a family. Once you get them on the phone, they're the same. There's somebody who asks for help and wants help. And so you treat everybody the same, whether it's a 50-cent lead, whether it's an A lead. Once they're on the phone and you're in the home, they're the same thing. You're there to help the people. And I think that's something you have to realize, is it might take some more calls as you go down to get that person. But once they're on the phone, they're a family, you're there to help.
Yeah, no, I get that too. It's really helpful. And I think you're right. Once you get them there, they've got the same need. You may have to remind them a little bit, but that's okay. That's what the steps told me as well. So I've got another question. So when I went into the lead in ops, is there a specific time in the month when the leads are put in there, or do they come in kind of as they come in? Because yeah.
No, that's a really good question, and I think it is important to understand how the leads function. Before I answer that, I want to add just a couple of things that I think would be helpful on your first question. I would really encourage you to participate in the phone team, especially coordinate with Elazar. He is by far, again, I've seen a lot of people phone. I've been in this industry for a long time. And I can honestly tell you that Elazar is way better than I ever was in my prime. So I'm not saying that to pump Elazar's head up. I'm just telling you the reality that he is extremely good. And it does not matter if it's an A lead, call-in lead, 5A lead, 4A lead. It does not matter. He is very good, and he's got some very good techniques. So I know he calls on specific days. Monday is usually a big day for him. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there tends to be days. Again, just coordinate with him. He's on this call, but private message Elazar Santos. Connect with him on when he's going to be on the phone team, and make it a practice to actually be on that video conference phone team and hear how he's doing it. Have him listen to how you're doing it, and let that be some of the learning on the 5As to 4As. The other thing I would tell you is, keep in mind that 5As have a specific ratio, 4As have a specific ratio. So don't get too caught up. You should, on average, be able to schedule 1 out of every 5 to 8 5A leads, and 1 out of every 8 to 12. It can be a little bit worse at the beginning because you're getting used to it. But again, don't go through, and if you reach 12, freak out. It's an average, okay? So theoretically, if you reached 24 people, you're going to schedule 2. Don't get too caught up on a 4A lead. So you're not going to get massive, people scheduling meetings on 4A leads. That helps you kind of keep it on point from a expectation standpoint. And I think a lot of times the expectation is what can either help us or hinder us. It can cause us to be pretty emotionally attached to what's going on if we have a super high expectation of what's supposed to happen. So that's the other thing I would say.
Yeah, frustration is the result of unmet expectations. And if you don't have clear expectations with what the results could be, such as you're not using that calculating your income spreadsheet, then you're not going to know what's going to come in. A very easy, rule of thumb is what you spend on leads. If you multiply that times, that's what you should realistically expect to come out in your commission. So it doesn't matter if it's 5A leads, 4A leads, 50-cent leads. It doesn't matter. if you spend $200, you should expect 2,000 to come to you. The difference is that the effort on the phone that it takes to get to that position.
That's right.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of a conflict there, right? If 5 A's you're going to get 1 out of 8, then and 4 A's you can, on average, you're going to get 1 out of 12. Then if you do the math on that and work backward from 100, then you need to spend a lot of money on leads to hit those metrics. But if I spend $200 on leads and I only end up with 50 or so leads, if I do the math on that, I don't know how I get from point A to point B, right? So if 1 out of 8 is 13% and I get 50 leads, and I'm probably looking at 6 appointments.
Yeah, so and that's about right. That's about right. And I know, Tom, from spending enough time with you, I know that you're a very detailed, analytical person. That's going to be your arch nemesis, just like it was for me. So I will encourage you. It's good. I love where you're going. You're going to understand the system extremely well. Don't get caught up too much, okay? Let the system prove itself. 4 A's are less expensive than 5 A's, so the reality is you'll buy more 4A leads that will equate to the same number that you would use. If you buy 10 A leads, you're going to get the same number of appointments as if you were to use the same dollar amount and buy 5 A leads versus 4 A leads versus 3 A leads. You get more and more and more leads, the more, the lower the lead that you purchase. So Matrix, I mean, again, there's an error rate there, but with your 5 A's and 4 A's, how many leads did you purchase?
50.
And what was the combination?
I think all I could get in my area was 24 4 A's, and then I got 26. I mean, it's 24 5 A's, and I got 26 4 A's. I ordered a handful of 3 A's this morning, with the idea that I'm going to need more anyway. So I'm happy to hear people say that, whether it's a 4A, 3A, whatever, it's a matter of getting the people on the phone.
And out of those, you're probably going to get, when you buy a lump sum, I mean, if you buy 100 bonus leads, whether they're 5A, 4A, 3A, you're probably not going to schedule more than, out of 100, you might schedule 7 to 10 meetings on bonus leads. That's just kind of the way it is. Okay. Now, if you purchase 10 A leads, which we can talk about that offline. I mean, I'm happy to get you in Atlanta. I can get my hands on A leads. That's not going to be a problem. We just have to work through some of the bonus leads. So 10 A leads would get you about the same, unless you're exceptional like Elazar. Okay. Again, I'm talking about average numbers. Out of 10 A leads, you'll probably schedule 6 or 7 of them. It's about the same. Okay.
Okay. I'll just work the numbers, and I'll just work the system, and I'll figure it out.
Hey, Mike,
Perfect.
if I could interject real quick to answer a question for somebody that's really new. In my 2 counties, my county and the county closest to me, I've only had basically 4A leads, and it's kind of what you guys said earlier. It's just activity, practice, and get better, and listen to the people around us on what to do. Like, I'm going to start text with Elazar, what he helped me. I have left voice messages, haven't gotten back, but now what Elazar gave me, to leave better voice messages, now what to do with text messages. So I've only been able to have basically 4A leads around me, anywhere close to me. But you just have to have the mindset to say, here's where I'm going to learn, do better, and gather from other people the information again to improve and go from there. So I would say just stay positive, don't get discouraged, and just continue to realize that you're just going to learn and get better from whatever type of lead you're getting.
Love it.
Thank you for that.
Those are really good questions. Who else has some questions?
I have a question, Mike.
I have a question.
Good.
This is Charlie.
Whoever wants to go first. Yeah.
Can I go first real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Charlie. No, go ahead.
Okay. I have a question. I am new as well to this particular company, and I came from an insurance background, but I need some advice as far as when you are in a more affluent household, where they have a $250,000 mortgage or at least 200 plus, and they have a financial advisor. And when you're new and you're coming in and they have a tendency, I get that they have to know, like, and trust you. So you have to build a rapport with them. But usually people, in my experience, and I could be putting up a roadblock for myself, generally want some type of visual aid. And I don't know if I should be like printing off policies, or are there graphs or charts or timeline, anything that we can, like, they can actually physically touch or see other than our conversation flow, for me to offer our different plan A, plan B, and plan C. Like, I also come from a teaching background, so I'm used to visual as well, where plan A is like a diagram or at least something that's professional looking versus me just writing it out.
So I'll kind of answer that initially, and then someone else can kick in. I do know that there are what they call flip charts on, I believe Symmetry has a flip chart that you can utilize for your presentation. I'll be very transparent with you. Out of the 8 years that I've been doing this, I've never once used a flip chart. I've never once presented with it. The style that I have always presented in, and I wrote, I averaged $40,000 a month for 2.5, 3 years of starting with Symmetry. So I wrote a lot of business doing this, and I've never once utilized that. That does not mean that you can't or you shouldn't. It could mean that might be something that you might need more than what the client needs. That's potentially, sometimes we tend to project what we need on the client itself. And so can you? Absolutely. Do we have, I don't know that the flip chart is going to match, to be very transparent. I don't know that the flip chart will match the strategy, the 1, 2, 3 strategy that we talk about in the presentation. But it is something that if it matches kind of your personality and what you're trying, what you're wanting to do, there's a lot of people that use it. It's just I never have. So I'm also a teacher. I got a math degree, education emphasis. I like to write down in front of the client like I'm teaching them. Here's A, here's B, here's the in and outs. Here, I like to take an education or a consultative approach to it. So I don't know if that helps. Again, I don't have an easy answer for you, except I've never utilized something like that.
Okay, I appreciate that. And anything in regards to them saying, can you email me this? Is that just a brush off move, or do people really want, and I'm not talking about over the phone, I mean in person. Yeah. I want to show this to my financial advisor.
Okay, so
that's Chris, talk about that, because that's the objection right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would almost back up and say, Charlie, Michael's a wealth management advisor as well. Mine's written, more premium than anyone else in the group, and probably close to as much as the group in total. So you have to realize that he's had all of this. There's two things, going back to what I said. Yeah, one, you're projecting your concern out onto the client, and they can feel that. And so you're not commonly going to have the people that do have a financial advisor. That's just not really these type of people. It's an everyday person, it's an everyday solution, and a consultative conversation around that. But the other thing that's really important to understand is, yes, it's a brush off move. If they want something in, like, physically in or in person, yeah, you can email them their application after the application is taken. Yes, the carriers do have resources. I mean, everything that you want and you feel the need to provide, we can get it, but it's much more of a you-based concern than it is a them-based concern. But I would say if they say, if something I can look at, they're blowing you off more than anything. It's not, they don't actually learn from a pamphlet. No one learns from a pamphlet, to be completely honest. So that is something that I would say, if you get in front of it before it happens, the only way you really fight objections is to get in front of them before they're getting to it. Does that make sense? If you can premise the conversation and address objections before they happen, that is really the only way to win. Mike, do you have a way to address that? I'm kind of at a loss for words here.
Yeah, you're coming in and out just a little bit.
Well, everything that you said, I appreciate and I get it, and I'm going to move forward with what you're saying. I don't want to project that anyway. It hasn't happened to me yet, but it happened when I was observing another agent. And, you know, the thought process that came to my mind when they threw that out there is, man, maybe if we had something more tangible for this person, they wouldn't be so skeptical, I felt. Because she just took, like, what you said was written out and made a copy of it. And I know it's a brush off move, but everything that you said, I appreciate, and I'll move forward with it.
Yeah, and no, you're exactly right. You're spot on. And what I would add to what Chris is saying is, and you'll hear me say this multiple times, the people that are the best at helping the client get to those objections first. So I will know, I've never once had, in the last, I would say early on, like 7-8 years ago, I had this happen. But in the last 3 years, in the field, I've never had someone get to the very end of my presentation and have someone go, oh, I need to talk to my advisor. Because what I do is I get to that at the very beginning. When I'm asking good questions at the beginning, I'm asking, you know, who do you talk with when you make a financial decision? Do you work with an advisor? Do you have a CPA? Do you have someone that's close to you that you work with? Because if I get to that first, then I'm going to preface at the very beginning and say, hey, you're probably going to want to make sure they're on board with this, right? Like whatever we do today, you're probably going to want to check this off with them, right? Like I'm already there. So when they get to the end, they're not saying, oh, I need to talk to my advisor. I already told you needed to. And the other thing that I'm going to do during the meeting is, and this, some of you might feel like this sounds manipulative, okay? It's psychology. The reality of the situation is they filled a form out on something they need, and they have an advisor. So my question is, how good is your advisor if your advisor isn't talking about this? And so as I go through the conversation, I'm questioning, and I'm putting little seeds of questions that cause them to question and doubt, not necessarily the advisor, but why didn't I talk about this before? Why haven't I had these conversations? So now that can go two ways. That can really help you, or it can put the nail in the coffin for you, because I've helped a client solve the problem, and they take the exact problem that I solved and they go to their advisor. So again, dealing with the problem, I will call a spade at the end. When they have an advisor, if we take applications or we help them, I will tell them, now here's what I'm asking you to do. Out of respect for me and my time and my extensive knowledge, okay, I'm going to ask that you don't just take what I'm doing today and go to your advisor and go do it with them. Just give me some respect, okay? At least give me the opportunity to earn your business as we go through this. So all of these things you're going to learn as you go through some of this. And these are really challenging conversations, okay? And like Chris said, you're not going to get a lot of them, okay? You'll get a few, but you won't get a lot of them. The mainstream conversation you're going to have is with the $40,000 a month or a year income, maybe $60,000, $70,000. So on Social Security income, they don't have advisors. They've never sat down with an advisor unless it's maybe the employee benefits, you know, Fidelity account people that help them out once a year. You know, so most people aren't going to deal with that issue, but hopefully I gave you a few tidbits of advice to help solve some of that problem.
You did. Thank you.
Okay, Mike,
Perfect.
this is
That's
Ron.
a really good question. Yeah, Ron.
I just wanted to add something to that, and then I wanted to kind of share something. Ask a question. As a trainer, one of the first things I've learned when I started going through the trainings was to be interactive with your audience, with your people. Never use PowerPoints, but use a flip chart and you write on it so that you could interact back and forth and they're a part of it. And so, when you're in the home, that's the same thing. You have to, when you're writing, they're watching what you're doing. They're a part of what you're doing. And what I found in the home, when I'm in the home, is that makes a huge difference to them. If I just show them stuff, they're not going to get it. So I use the same approach.
They're also going to feel like it's a canned presentation instead of, authentic and kind of being transparent with what your conversation is.
Right, and geared toward them and what their needs are.
Yeah. Yep.
The other thing was, I've gotten some of this, and I know I spoke to Elazar, and he's gotten this. When we do a equity protection, people come back and say, you know what, I'm canceling the policy because my son said, why are you doing this? I could take care of this. Use the money yourself. And they've canceled. Something came on me the other day. I started doing this, so I'll see how this works. But the guy had final expense coverage. And I said to him, well, why do you have that? And he says, well, so that my kids don't have to worry about me when I pass away. It's all taken care of. And I said, well, wouldn't you want the same kind of thing when you pass away with your home? And he said, I never thought of that. So I think I'm going to start using that. I want to see what kind of feedback you have and what you do.
Well, I think the important part of what you're doing, okay, and it's not necessarily everyone has to use the same phraseology, but what you're doing is you're connecting the client to the emotion. That's what you're doing. And so, yes, it can work as long as it's valuable and important to them, as long as they have an emotional connection to why they have the final expense, and you tie that connection to the home, that'll work every time. It's all about, emotions sell, logic pays for it. That's every single time. That's how it works. Okay. So connecting to the emotion is the important part of that. And I don't see any reason why that wouldn't work. What I would tell you is if you guys are doing the equity protection, okay, and you're doing it properly, and you're still getting people canceling, the reality is that you're not covering some of the future objections. Okay, this all boils down to objections. Okay, so you've got to make sure that you cover why it's important. Even getting the people, the beneficiaries involved. Have you talked to your son about this? I always ask the question, do you feel like your son could handle this home without any financial strain? Okay. If you were to pass away tomorrow and he had to take over all the bills, the utilities, everything, could they do that without causing a financial strain on their current situation? And even if they can, then you can ask the question, is that what you want? Do you want to put that on them? Or do you want, as a father, to make sure that they don't have to deal with that financial strain or the concern of it? Right. So it's more about what they want. Yes, the son can come back. I mean, listen, if my parents had it, I'd be looking up and saying, Mom, Dad, you don't do this for me. This isn't about me. Do it for you. That would be my stance. It would be do it because you feel like it's the best thing for you. Quite frankly, even though I can handle my parents' stuff, I wouldn't want to. I mean, that's just me. What if my kids are in college at the time and I've got, huge expenses, or what if my in-laws are going through something, or I don't know what's going to happen in the future. So why would I project that on? So you got to help the client understand those scenarios. You got to help them walk through those scenarios. And then it's best practice if you also involve, if need be. If they're pushing hard on the kid, get them involved. Make sure that they're aware. Make sure that you tell your son why you're doing this and that this is about you, not about them. This is about making sure that your assets are taken care of, not necessarily about them. That's again, having some foresight as to some of the objections you're going to get post taking the application is really kind of what people don't think about oftentimes, and you can prevent some of those cancellations that way.
Man, that's good stuff. Ron, I would really, man, that was great. I would say the quality of the questions that you're asking is going to be that difference maker.
Oh, thanks. Thanks,
You're
guys.
coming. Yeah.
Yeah, because
What other questions? What other questions do we have? We got
Hey,
about
Mike.
8 minutes.
Hey, Mike. And I don't know if this one might be easier offline. Mine isn't a specific question, but I would love to make a request to the group if there's anyone that might be able to provide me half an hour to 45 minutes to just like blast questions at them about things from once you set the call and through the house appointment. I'd love if there's anyone that might be willing to do that for me. But it's not a specific question per se.
If you were on the video conference, you would have Chris raising his hand and pointing to him. So call Chris. He definitely would be happy to do that.
All right. No problem. I will. Chris, is there a best time for me to set something up with you, or you just want me to text you through Slack?
Just message him through Slack. That's the beauty of this. And Sean, I love the fact that you asked that, and I love the fact that you did it in this group environment, because guys, listen, someone is willing to help. You know, I'm a little out of pocket at this time because I've got my in-laws here, but that doesn't mean that we can't get you the help. So the reality is I can't express this enough. If you're new and you have questions, it is your own fault if you don't ask. There's nothing we can do to make you guys ask for help, okay? That's on you. Once you ask, it's on us. So please reach out to us. We will point you in the right direction. We will help you. We'll point you in the right channels for questions that need to be answered.
Okay, this is Charlie. I have one more quick question, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's a different approach you take when doing a presentation with a quote-unquote referral versus a lead that, you bought and paid for?
So you're going to find a lot of people in this organization are very, very unfamiliar with how to do any kind of meeting with a referral, because pretty much everything we do here is lead-based. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't help you with the referral side. The challenge with the referral side on our process, okay, is the lead itself is what creates the need, what it is that the client needs. So anytime you move from a lead to a referral, now you don't know if the referral has a need. You just have a relationship that the person bought from you and they want you to meet someone else. So the challenge with a referral process in our system is you have to get good at finding that need. That's really the only difference, okay? And I would encourage you to either utilize your client to help find the need, okay? Because they have the relationship. So Charlie, if I was meeting with you and let's say, are you and Robin good friends? I don't know the connections entirely.
We are. Robin, yeah, we went to high school, the same high school.
Okay, perfect. So Charlie, let's say I was sitting down with you. You had filled out a lead. We took care of something, and you said, "Hey, Mike, you got to meet Robin." What I would say is, great. I don't know if Robin wants to meet me. Okay, and so do me a favor. If you can talk to Robin, express to her what I helped you with. Okay, talk to her about what we talked about. And if you feel like there's still a need there, then I want you to schedule find out the best time that I can talk to her. But I need you to talk to her first, because the last thing I want to do is be calling her and trying to project on her a need that she may not actually want. So you really have to get the client involved in kind of setting that up, so that when I sit down with Robin, she knows that, hey, I helped Charlie, I helped you out with mortgage protection, and you guys have already talked about kind of what you did and why. And so now I don't have to say, why am I here? How can I help? It's, this is what I know you did. What does it look like for me? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I came from a referral background. The company that I work with, 70% of my business was referral based. And that was my choice. It was a warmer lead for me. So this is interesting.
Here's okay. So, and I love this, and I love having this on this platform as well. You're not alone. Chris and I came from a 99.9% referral base. I didn't even know. I was taught that leads were trash. Okay, that you just don't do it. That's not the way you run a business. And for 4 years, I built a very successful wealth management practice, financial advisory practice, insurance practice on nothing but referrals. I was referred to 80 to 120 people a month and did very well with helping a lot of people. The reality is that works, but it's a different sales cycle. I pretty much did, let's see, years 2 and 3 with Symmetry. All of my production was 100% based leads, and I will tell you, it is so much easier. Referrals is only easy because it's what you're used to. It is way easier on a lead-based system to correctly project your actual income and understand exactly what you're going to make based on the number of leads you purchase, dials, all that stuff. It's very, very, very easy to project what you're going to make and who you're going to sit in front of. So doesn't mean, I'm not saying throw away the referrals. I'm saying you have a great opportunity to utilize both systems. I would encourage you to embrace the lead system and leverage your referral side to add in and feather in additional people on top of what you're doing.
Okay.
You have a phenomenal opportunity. Yeah.
So basically with a referral, if I have a referral, because I'm good at collecting referrals, even if I'm standing in line at Starbucks, you know, vet them over the phone and find out their need. Is that like your main suggestion before you go to the home?
Yeah, I would treat it like any other lead, but you got to get the big thing is you got to get the referrer involved, in my opinion. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to coerce people to meet with you. It's much easier to rely on the relationship of the referrer to get involved. You know, if you want me to talk to this person, I need you to reach out to them. And then I always prefaced and said, when will you have that done? When should I reach out to them? Because the last thing you want to do is come across as, you know, someone that's pushing something they don't need or cramming something down their throat or something of that nature. So rely heavy on the relationship in order to get in front of them and already have a need that's there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hugh, I saw you kick on just for a second there. Did you have a question? I couldn't tell if you had a question. You kicked on earlier, and I didn't want to leave you out there.
Yep, it's real simple. It goes back to the lead original question. The overstock A1, A2, A3, those are considered A leads, correct? And then like the 5A, 4A, those are B leads.
So that's a good question, and I want to answer a question that I was reminded that Tom asked as well. So yes, overstock leads, A01, O2, what those particular leads are is when a GMR is turned on and leads come into that GMR, I allocate them to the individual, the actual agent that's supposed to have them. If they don't purchase them, okay, and they consistently don't purchase them, they end up, after 2 weeks of not being purchased, they end up rolling up to me, okay, as an agency owner, or to Chris, if you're direct to Chris. I have a choice now as an owner to do one of two things. I can either buy the lead at my cost and give it to an agent, or I can pay the difference between what it costs for an AO1 lead and my cost as an A lead, okay, which would be a lower cost, but then once I pay the lower cost, it goes back into the system and someone can buy them as overstock A leads. So no one's ever called them. They're discounted A leads, but they have sat in the system a little bit longer than a fresh A lead, okay? So it's kind of important to understand that. Secondly, Tom asked something early on about when leads refresh in the system. 5A leads, bonus leads refresh daily based on when they flip over. Okay, remember A leads sit in the system in someone's ops system for 5 weeks and then they flip. Those A leads flip on a daily basis. So you'll see 5A leads and 4A leads fluctuate sometimes on a daily basis, and they might be picked up on a daily basis. A leads, brand new A leads, are only distributed on a weekly basis. I get the lead order in on Wednesday, I allocate them on Thursday, and then the individual that's allocated, that I've allocated the leads to, they have until Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to purchase those leads. And if they don't get purchased, they flow back into the ops system and are available to be purchased. So it's some of the order of how that works, and we can go over it again and again. And again, some of those time frames and timelines are a little bit hard to remember, but hopefully that's helpful.
That is definitely helpful. Thank you. The reason I was asking that is I was looking at my combo to my safe and thinking about, it gave a recommendation of how many A leads and how many B leads I need to purchase. So that's why I just wanted to verify that overstock A's were considered A leads.
They absolutely are. Yep, they absolutely are.
Right on. Thank you.
That's perfect. All right, guys. I love the fact, Hugh, I love the fact that you're going back to the combination to your safe. Guys, those items are moved into the virtual mentor. So you need to leverage the virtual mentor. If you don't have a goal set up in there, it's because you haven't set up the combination to your safe, or either Chris and I have not updated the virtual mentor, which that just means you need to remind us and get connected with us. We got a lot of stuff going on. So just make sure that this is your business, own your business, be extreme owners, okay, extreme ownership. Take ownership of the things that you can control and your emotions. Appreciate you guys so much. I cannot wait to see how we finish out this month. Just a quick update. We're at $158,000 of business. We have $42,000 left to hit the $200,000, which is the highest month we'll ever have yet to date. That will not be for long. We'll continue to grow. But I just want to just give a big shout out to what you guys do finishing up this last leg of the race for this year, and appreciate each one of you being on the call. I will post this. I started recording this after the commitments, so I will post this in the training channel. Please encourage everyone that you're connected to be on these calls. If it's helpful, this is part of our culture. This is part of who we are, and we need you guys to plug other people in so that they're not just hearing it from Chris or me or the Santos team. Well, they need to hear it from you guys on the ground. So appreciate you so much. Appreciate each one of you. Merry Christmas. If I don't chat with you before then, happy holidays and God bless. We'll talk to you guys later.